Hi folks, this is Rose from In Rose's Garden, and today we are going to work on a button bracelet using the Wonderland Design Challenge Kit from SoftFlex company. Let's turn down and I'll show you what I have planned. I think it's going to be a really pretty fun little bracelet. This little baggie is all kinds of the beads I have chosen, as well as some spacers from out of my stash. Our button, of which I have painted. Isn't that cute? Thistle button. And since thistle is the flower for Scotland, I have added a few little Celtic knots in here. So let's show you what we're going to do here. Now, if you're wondering what these are for, we are making a button loop out of our seat beads. So our mille-feuille is going to be in the very beginning, or I should say in the very middle. It's our focal. Then we're going to put these little Celtic knots next to it. Then I think these really pretty little vitrol sort of beads, spacer on either side. One of the green ones here. I think these green ones are really pretty. Another spacer. Then we're going to put in the pave. Next, I think we're going to, well, another spacer, of course. Then we'll go with this checked one. Then this other knot. Fire polish. Spacer, spacer, little I've got another one of these hexagons, and I'm sort of trying to decide if I want it on where I want them at. These little guys are going to go for the bicones on either side. I think we're going to opposite these a little bit. We're going to put the hexagon right here. Maybe. Or maybe we'll just add it into there and we'll still leave our checkered one here. So we'll just add it into here, bing, right there. And then I've got a few extra spacers, it looks like. And these are my crimp tubes. Now, I've got 3 because even though I'm going to just put one here on the button side, when I put the loop together, I want 2. And I want to because I want to have a double crimp to make sure that's strong, because as the button goes in and out, you know, it's going to put a lot of pressure on it. So we're going to just start with that. What we're going to do is we're going to get our button attached first. And if I wanted to, I could put a double crimp here too, but I probably will not. But, and then we'll just string it how we have it. We'll see about how long that ends up being before we add our seed bead loop. We may need to take a few beads out. It may be perfect. Who knows? I'm going to cut the wire here. I'm not sure how much I just cut. Probably a lot more than I need, but I'd rather have too much than not enough. So Let's see how big of a piece we actually got out. Looks like it's a little over 12 inches. So what we want to do first is take our crimp tube. We want to put on our button. Just feed this through the shank and go back through the crimp. Pull her up. Now you want to pull her up pretty much most of the way, though not all the way, because you want the button to have some movement. So we've got it right here. So got the little bit of space here. And we'll crimp that in place. Now I'm using the magical crimpers. They have a little divot right there. You put the 2x2 crimp right in the middle of the divot and squish. Then you turn it, put it in the middle again, and squish. And you keep doing that until it doesn't squish anymore. It doesn't give you any resistance. So see, it's got to form this little ball. So we tug it. It feels to be really good. So let's just start stringing our beads on. Now I'm not sure if these beads will go over the top of this twice or through the wire twice, I should say. This little one will. I'm not sure if my spacer will. Looks like it probably won't. So we're going to take our clippers and we're going to clip our wire right here beside our little bicone. Now we're just going to go up the row and put all our beads on. Looks like I'm missing a spacer here. That's fine. We got spacers. Oh, I see. I wasn't missing one. I put it on in the wrong spot. Spacer should have been on the other side of this little hexagon. There we go. Almost lost my spacer there. Now this is probably going to be in between my two crimps. I like a little now see, that doesn't come anywhere near all the way around, so let's get my sizer out. We'll pull it up and around and see where it ends up being. it's way up here by the 6. We need quite a few more beads in here. So let's see what we can do. That was pretty. Even with the beaded loop, which will add about a half an inch to an inch, we still probably need at least 2 or 3 more beads in here. So I am going to get out a few more out of the strand. These were the beads from the strand. Got 2 of these here, and we have 2 more of these. So we will put in these 2 since they're different somewhere. I have to decide where I like them best. I think I may put them right here on either side of here. So we'll unstring this and we will add these beads right here. Now we'll string her back up, see if she's big enough. If not, then we will figure a place to put these other 2 extra beads. So could put them in right here right now, and that way I don't have to worry about getting them in later. But then, well, we needed about an extra inch, so let's go ahead and do that. Just put them in place. And we'll probably need to get some more spacers, because these spacers that are left are small spacers and we want a slightly bigger one. So let's just restring this baby up and see if we get about what we need. Okay, there we are, all restrung. Now let's see how long that ends up being. I think it looks like it's probably about perfect as far as my arm is concerned. Once we put the little beaded loop on, let's get our sizer back out and we'll take a look at it here. Yeah, see, almost 7 with our beaded little seed bead loop for our closure. It should be just fine. So what we want to do is put on the crimp tube, then this little bead, the crimp tube. There's our 2 crimp tubes there, because we're going to end it with crimp tubes. Put these aside, we don't need them. Now we're going to open up our toe hose here. Come on, baby, open up your case here. I don't want to pull it and then have beads everywhere, so there we go. And now we're just going to string on enough of the little purple toe hose to make a loop that the button will fit through. So we'll just Now see, as we come around here, we're going to just bring this around like so when we get enough for the button to go through, and then we will put it through those crimps and crimp it. And I have no clue how many of these seed beads we will be needing, so we'll just feed them on until we think it looks good, and we'll test to see if the button will then work. So let's see about how many we got there. That might be enough right there. Let's sort of get our button over here so we can sort of gauge if it will go through. So over to here. Come here, you. I don't want to lose my beads off. Actually, that may be too many. Looks like it's not wanting to... Let's see, because it would come through that crimp bead right there and tighten up right there. Yeah, see, that's a few too many because it went in there way too easily. So we'll take a few off and try that again. Still went through relatively easily, so we'll take 2 more off. Then we'll hold it again, fingernails right into it so it doesn't escape. And I need a little tighten up there because the beads are now it's not quite loose enough. See how I'm pushing to get that through? So we'll put 1 back on. But just 1, because 2 was too loose. So now that we've got that 1 on, let's push these aside so we don't have them all over the place. Then we have to bring this back down, and we need to go through this crimp, through the bicone. It should go through because the other side went through all right. Come on, baby, go in there. Now, if it won't go in, which it is acting like it's not going to, it might have just went. There it did. Being stiff, but it did go. So pull that up. Now we'll go through the second crimp here. And I'm not sure though that it will go through here. Oh yes, it went through fine with no problem. So then we want to keep pulling this up. Well, as it turns out, I pulled it up tight and look, it won't go through. So obviously I didn't have it tight enough when I was testing it before, so we're gonna have to pull her back out and add some more beads to her. So of course now I've got her nice and tight. She doesn't want to come out, but we say it has to. So we'll put a couple more beads on, and instead of doing it with my fingers, I'm going to put it through the crimp this time and then hold it so I can test it better. So let's put on, oh, 3. 3 sounds like a good amount. So let's get up here and put through the crimp. I'm not going to put through any of the other beads, but we will put it through the crimp to hold it in place to test it. So we'll pull it tight at the crimp here, Now let's go through and see if that worked. Oh, now we're a little loose again. So I'm going to need to take one of these beads back out. So pull her out, take one bead out, and then we will put her back in again and see if that works better. So back in, pull her tight, hold her, push her through. Now see, that one went through just right. We were actually pushing it a little harder than is really great, but it still went through all right. So now we'll put this through the other beads and tighten her up. Now that we've decided how many got the right amount of beads, we just need to get it back into the crimps. And through our beads we need it to sit on to finish this up. So now we just need to tighten this up all the way. So just push the crimps and the beads up so that you can get hold of your other one. Now this one's holding really tight with that little bicone, so come on, baby. So we're just going to have to, if you need to, grab your pliers to pull this on, which you might, because this little bicone is tight on here. But we know it's not going to let things slide around, that's for sure. Now we need to pull this through, and we'll just keep doing that till we get it down to where we want it to be at. So we're almost there. Come on, you come down there. Now, tighten it up again. And I think we're pretty good and tight there. So now all we got to do is crimp those beads. Now we want to be careful because we don't want to break our beads as we crimp. And let's see how before we bother to crimp, how big this ended up being. So, ding. Oh, now it's about 7.5. It's actually a little longer than I wanted it now. So maybe we didn't need that second bead, extra bead set. So the question then becomes, since we're not got it crimped, do we want to take it out again and then get those beads out, or do we want to just let it be the 7.5 it wants to be? That is the question. After giving it some thought, I really don't want to pull it apart to take out some beads. So what we're going to do is we're just going to crimp this baby in place here. And it's just going to be a little longer than I would have made it originally. So what we need to do is we need to get our crimp in here, our crimping pliers, make sure we're not on any beads, and crimp. And turn, and crimp, and crimp, and okay, crimp number 1 is done. We're going to cut the wire here now, get it out of our way. Being careful not to cut the bracelet wire. Now we'll move this, you see let it have a little gap there, so we'll move it down so we can get our crimping pliers in and do the other crimp. We got to make sure we don't get any of those seed beads in there though, or it will break them. The seed beads are glass and these are pliers, so just carefully go through and crimp till you've got it the way you want it, until it looks good. There we go. So then we'll just hook her up. And there she's done. Now let's see what her sizing ended up being. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be that 7.5. Yeah, it's 7.5. But it's not bad. And look at that pretty button. Now, because this has got such a pretty button on it, you could wear it with the button up front, or you could wear it with the millefiori and the Celtic knots up front. Either way, it is very pretty. And it should be really secure as far as the button, these little beads pieces are concerned, because I did double crimp it. And I think it's very pretty. Now, if I were to wear it, now see, it would just get to my wrist, and I could get the button through, I'm sure, because it doesn't feel atrociously tight. Come on, button, go through. Now the loop is plenty tight enough. It's not going to come loose easily. So it's not tight on my wrist. I wear between a 7 and a 7.25. As you can see, I've got some room here. But it's not so loose that I feel like it's going to fall off either. It's got a little movement if I wanted movement in it. So there we go. It's all finished. Isn't that pretty? So let's take her back off. And there she is. All done. And so pretty with our little button. So there we go. There is our pretty button bracelet with our little painted button and our millefiori on this side. Really pretty little bracelet. This was made using the Wonderland kit from SoftFlex company. I think it turned out really pretty. I hope you enjoyed making this with me. This has been Rose from In Rose's Garden, making a beautiful button bracelet. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.